What?
Good morning, everybody. As a reminder, please mute
Hold on.
yourselves while we get started this morning.
And well, right now the direction from us is that we're still using. I want to use this version. Like literally, but at that time, my
I'm going to
lens.
mute all, so you guys will need to unmute yourselves when we get started. Okay, good morning, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Perfect. All right. Thank you for joining us on today's webinar. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm Melissa Davis. I'm one of the event managers for the Office of Equity, so thank you for joining. Today we're joined by Marisa Cairns and Megan Matthews. Marisa is a compassionate professional with over 20 years of experience in human services, holding a bachelor's degree in the field. She has worked in diverse settings, including domestic violence shelters, hospitals, legal advocacy, and with aging populations. Currently, she serves as a career and training specialist at SkillSource, connecting individuals from varied socioeconomic and cultural backgrounds to essential resources. She believes strongly in helping others, creating a judgment-free space for their experiences and empowering them to thrive. Marisa emphasizes the importance of self-care, boundary setting, and self-awareness as key factors in personal and professional growth. Also with us, as mentioned, is Megan Matthews. She's the director of Washington State's Office of Equity, boldly advancing a Washington for all. She has been a public servant in Washington State for 16 years, working her way up from an entry-level position. She is committed to a lifelong journey of pursuing and living the values of equity and justice. She is a courageous and innovative leader, loves a good debate, and strives to maintain her humility. Megan earned a master's degree in public administration from the Evergreen State College. Megan co-taught a master's program at the Evergreen State College, emphasizing democratic governance and social change for current and future public administrators. Megan is dedicated to social justice and ensuring fairness and hope for everyone, especially the next generation. That includes her daughters, nieces, and nephews. So thank you both for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Megan.
Thank you, Melissa. And thank you, Melissa, and all of you all for rolling with us as we had to reschedule this session a couple of times. So thank you for your flexibility with us. I'm excited to do this session with Marisa, and I just want to kind of set a little bit of the context for why we're here. Um, and I want to also acknowledge that, as state employees, we get into this work because we want to serve, we want to help. And I also want to acknowledge that right now is a really tough time. Washington State's budget, we have budget cuts, people are being laid off, there's changes in our agencies. And I just want to, and then that's not even to add everything that may be happening and how you may be feeling about what's happening federally and the fear that that is causing for many state employees. So I just want to call that out. Oftentimes we kind of just get going into what we're doing and we don't acknowledge the time. And so I just want to acknowledge that for you all. And I want to just let you know that on July 15th, let me make sure that's the right day before I just tell you all the wrong thing. We're going to have an employee support session. So if you have not received that, we'll make sure that we send it out to everybody who's registered here. And that's going to be a space that we hope will continue. Really excited to partner with several agencies, Daryl from Department of Health, Levi from Retirement Services, and many others who are helping us bring this together for all state employees. If you want connection, if you're feeling lonely, if you're feeling hurt, if you're feeling scared, whatever you're feeling right now, if you want to be connected to other state employees, that space will be provided July 15th with many other dates already scheduled to happen. So I just want to start by saying that we see you, we hear you, we feel you, we're with you, we're in solidarity with you as well. So today's session, I'm really excited about. Oftentimes we think about how do we serve people, right? So we're here to provide services, but sometimes it's not about the what, it's about the how we navigate this and provide these. And so Let me just pin. Oh, Melissa, can you pin Marisa and I, please? So that everyone can see us, especially because we had some technical challenges, some typical difficulties, and so Marisa had to join in a conference room. And so I want to make sure you all can see her as well as you can. Um, so I, if you're unfamiliar, we have Employment Security Department has a program, um, Economic Security for All. And this program partners with local entities, Workforce Council, SkillSource, and other organizations to help people get the certifications they need, to remove barriers that are there, all so that we can also that we can um, they can have self-sufficient and um, jobs, living wage earning jobs. And I have been traveling around Washington State around learning about the different, how every kind of county or region is approaching this project. This is also in partnership with the Community Reinvestment Program, CRP. And so in one of these sessions, I just heard, they have people who have went through this program, and I just kept hearing, "Oh, Marisa's amazing. Marisa's amazing. She was there every time, and I was scared, and she helped me, and I called her, and she was available, and I bugged her, and she was still here." And I said, "Who is this Marisa? Who is this Marisa?" And then Marisa was there, and she said, "Hi, I'm Marisa." And I said, "Oh my goodness!" And I was just struck by the feedback that I heard, the love that people had for her, and people were navigating a tough time. There's a lot of barriers to getting into a living wage paying job, and so I said, Marisa, can we hear from you? How are you approaching your work in this way, in this manner? What is the difference? And she just was like, yes, I will be here. And so, Marisa, first, if you can, I know we read your bio, but is there anything else you'd like to share about yourself?
Yeah, I am also a trained and certified spiritual life and trauma coach. So I have my own business on the side and I'm still getting back into that work as well. So I really take a holistic approach when dealing with customers and individuals and my clients and holding space for them to where they get to share their experience and be held in a non-judgmental way.
That's great. Um, why do you approach it in that way?
I think growing up, I realized I had a heart and passion for people. Like when I was young, I always knew I would either be a counselor or social worker. And I went into human services at Western. They kind of promoted it as the new social work. And I think a lot of it comes from growing up. We were always taught to help, value others, do what we could to serve, be generous. And then went through, and I'm still always learning, cultural diversity. In college, we had a lot of cultural diversity classes, cultural awareness classes. Even when I started this job, they put us through a Bridges to Poverty course and talked about some of the barriers and different things. And for me, in my work overall, I'm definitely a humanitarian. I believe in all of human rights and not just privileged rights, or some people have rights, some people don't. I really have that. I used to say liberal background, but definitely more humanitarian, I think is where I would focus most on how I approach things. And I think too, just overcoming a lot of childhood trauma myself and doing my own work, I can hold space for that individual, allowing them to share their experiences and draw from that as I'm working with them as far as what are their needs, not what I'm projecting on them that I think that they need to do or that I want them to do, but really understanding where they're at and meeting them in the moment and then moving forward. We did a working genius here, and I suggest it for any team if you haven't done it, and it really pulls out your core strengths in your working genius and some of the ones that you aren't as favorable for. And it talks about different dynamics too in the workplace and how you work with different personalities. But mine are discernment and empowerment. And that's truthfully how I lead my life. Strong discernment. And then I am here to empower everyone I come across the path with.
Thank you. It sounds like you reach into your own experience and how you've had to navigate, your own life experiences to get where you are. And then you use that to, be curious about maybe someone else's pathway so that you are, wanting to learn them and approach them in a way that says, that values whatever experiences they have and the path they're trying to get to at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely it. And treating them as a person. We have a lot of different individuals, especially now, like you said, with the tougher times. We were seeing last year a huge increase in Ukrainian refugees who were coming in. We were seeing a huge increase in our area of elderly who were on Social Security and could not make it anymore on that fixed income, and that we're trying to get back into the workforce, as well as individuals who are youth. I work on the adult team, but we also have a youth team that works from 16 to 24. Our adult team works from about 18 to 80 plus, due to the age. We don't turn anyone away. There's value here in what we offer. And again, if someone just walks away with one new thought, one new concept, one new tool in their bag, I've done my job. I've done my job.
That's great. Can you tell us a little bit more about what your role is?
Sure.
I think there are a lot of state employees who may connect with people and, may be able to refer folks into programs like the ones you offer.
Yes. So I am really fortunate in the fact that we work in a one-stop operation. So we're the OSO in Grant and Adams County. Our main office is based out of Chelan, Douglas, and then we work up in OMAC. Excuse me. So I am one of the adult trainers through SkillSource, and I do career and training specialists, and then I also do business engagement. So I'm working with both employee and employer, coaching them along the way. So my specialty is on the job trainings and incumbent worker trainings and sometimes work experiences. So what that means is when an individual comes in, we bring them into an orientation, see if they're the right fit. If so, we then move them into our ACE workshop, which is a 3 half-day workshop where we're doing career assessments, we're doing some light need reading and math assessments, personality tests. We're teaching them about jobs versus careers, how to write resumes, how to write cover letters, how to have professional information on your social media. We go over the new AI and how to use that as a guide to help you, not necessarily copy and paste, but as a guide, it's there. And we also go over learning how to find jobs that are in demand in your area. Our goal is to make sure that we are getting someone to become self-sufficient in their role, and that it's not just a job for them, that it's a career that they're going to enjoy, and like you said, move in within that company or organization. However, we understand sometimes people just need money in their pocket now, and if that's the case, that's again working with where they're at. Maybe they need a gap job. Maybe they need a gap job that is not their job that they're going to love forever, but it's a start and getting them back in a home, back in shelter, getting food back on the table, paying their bills until they can make a different choice at a later time. But really what I focus on is the on the job trainings where individuals come in, They are searching for employment. We're making sure that they're ready to interview and their resumes and cover letters are up to date. And then if they are approved under our criteria, I can then advocate and call employers on their behalf and let them know that if they select and choose that this is the right candidate for their company, that they have shown that they've already committed to our program and that that company could be benefiting 50 to 75% of wages back in their pocket while this individual is training with them. So this individual may not have all of the skills, but there's a great group of transferable skills to move them in. I am then coaching along the way, both employer and both employee. So typically a contract would probably be about 2 to 3 months long. I go in every 30 days, check in with the employee that they're getting the training that's promised by the employer and they're not just left floundering. I'm also checking in with the employer to make sure employee is showing up on time, communicating, dressing appropriately, meeting work standards and expectations, those sorts of things. And so it really helps with employer side of the employment retention and offsetting the onboarding costs when there's a lot of training that is put into individuals who are newly hired. And if they move on in a short period of time, you're starting at the bottom again and then putting in all of that energy and those resources. So we try to offset that. And then our incumbent worker training program is if an individual has been at a company for 6 months or longer, and that company decides that they don't want to lose that employee, they want to upskill them. If they are, and there's a bunch of different criteria, I'm just kind of going over the high level, but if that employer has a program that they want to look into to where that individual would receive a certification or maybe a pay increase, we can then look at helping to upskill that individual for that company. We've done safety managers here where we have they've been an entry-level position, they wanted to get into safety management, we helped offset the costs and pay those courses. Depending on company size, there is a partial payment that that company pays also. But again, if it's a small business, it's a 10%, it might be a 50%. And typically that can be met by the employer's wages while they're paying that individual for training. So it doesn't necessarily come directly out of their pocket, but they can show their pay stubs that they were paid for that training, and that can help meet the match that the employer has. So those are two of the big ones. Off on the other side, we do ITAs, which are individual training accounts, and those are individuals looking to be reskilled or reschooled. So if they have found a job in demand and it matches with one of the schools that we are combined with and that we or that they accept our funding, then we can help with getting a scholarship for them to go back to school. It's typically a 2-year or less vocational college. We don't help with prerequisites, but as long as it leads to that in-demand job in our area, it's a 2-year or less vocational college. We typically have up to about $6,000 of funding. Yes, that is changing in the new fiscal year. And now we're really partnering, right? We partner with Big Bend Community College. And so sometimes we'll have individuals go out and get half the funding there, half with us. OIC Farm Workers, National Farm Workers Program is in our building. Oftentimes OIC can pay half, we can pay half. And then we also we're doing computer classes. Those are now on pause due to our funding. So we're kind of taking a step back and reevaluating because we know that that's a really big need for individuals to get those basic computer skills. So I'm hopeful that those will come back soon. It just paused in the last week. And really that's kind of the SkillSource avenue of what we do, as well as rapid responses. We have right now businesses from 1 to 3 employees to 200, 300 employees that are going out of business right now and doing closures. So we are the ones for this area that do the rapid response coordination, reaching out, making sure that their needs are met. You know, a lot of times employer and employees are caught off guard that there's been a closure. We are doing wraparound services. I work with Chelsea on the west side of the state. She comes over as an advocate. We pull in OIC, we pull in the Employment Security Department here, we pull in DVR, and we really wrap around to make sure they know how to file their unemployment claims. how to choose between COBRA or getting on medical, getting on food stamps right away, utilizing food banks right away. Just tons of information on how to file their weekly claims and things that will help them be successful, as well as dislocated worker. If someone, and I know I'm getting breathy here, if someone is in a plant closure or a layoff, they're considered a dislocated worker. That is another grant pocket of money that we have for individuals. And oftentimes they don't know that if their spouse has been stay at home and they've been the breadwinner, that their spouse could also be eligible to go back to school and get some benefits. So lots and lots of programs, services. Like I said, in our one stop, we have veteran services here. We have the Department of Vocational Rehab, who's here for individuals with disabilities. We partner with Employment Security Department, OIC. Out in the community, we partner with Big Bend Community College, DSHS, also our local Job Corps. So it's really a team collaboration. And now we have Big Bend coming in. So I love that they can come in, and this goes down to my college training where, this was our idea back in the day, and now it's actually been implemented. Like, how can we stop having individuals who have barriers to transportation, who have barriers to childcare? How can we get services all in one building so they're not having to be pointed, go here, catch a bus here, you have kids, go there, oh, you're gonna have to come back tomorrow. We really want to be effective and efficient in giving the best customer service experience to that customer the moment they walk in.
That's beautiful, Marisa, and I hope that you all on this call could, maybe gain some insights and maybe some additional resources that you didn't know in the area that Marisa's in, but maybe, some of these same SkillSource offices are in other areas in Washington State that can provide this one-stop shop. But also thinking about how we might be able to be creative to provide some one-stop shops as well in the state. I just did a reentry simulation event a couple of weeks ago. And I mean, I was like, oh man, the stereotypes about state, employees and navigating our processes were evident, but it's also truth, right? That sometimes it's really difficult. And if you don't have the right thing, we'll send you back, just like you said, come back tomorrow, we're closed, or, whatever the thing is. And it's really frustrating when you're already, your job just closed, and now you're trying to figure out how am I going to put food on my children's table, to make sure my babies can eat and things like that. And you are encountering systems and processes that are not empathetic and that are quite difficult, without a lot of instruction or direction on how to navigate that. So I think that's really beautiful, your approach to meeting people. And I would ask, how do you gain trust with people? Is that a part of the process, or and maybe you interact with folks maybe uh, more often than maybe some of the state employees would. But even in a short amount of time, how do you build trust so that you're able to help people get to where they are? Or is that something that you factor in when you're interacting with them?
Yeah. I do have to say, for me, since I was young, people come to me and tell me things. That's just part of my nature. I'm very fortunate with that. So I think a lot of it is being vulnerable myself, I hold that space with non-judgment for them and just try to, again, we were taught really early on here, and I appreciate this from my old manager, Emily, that you're going to have to ask these hard questions, right? When you're doing their application, what is your criminal background? That's probably one of the hardest ones, or about their disabilities. And in those questions, like with their criminal background, you don't shy away from it, and you don't over engage in it, right? Just tell me the truth, what happened moving forward. It's not like I'm gonna gasp when they said, oh, I was arrested for murdering someone, or oh, I was arrested for this. It's like, okay, that happened. Let's just put it all on the table and let's move forward. I let people know we work with individuals who've been incarcerated. And so I think the more that you're comfortable in your own skin, and that you have that compassion as your foundation, you're going to be just fine. I think others have different approaches, and those are great, right? Different approaches work with different people. Not everyone's gonna mesh and fit, but I truly try to offer that, for lack of a better word, like equal like companionship. And I don't know if that's the right word I'm needing, but like we're walking side by side in this. You know what I mean? Like you're in the trenches. I'm here to advocate on your behalf where I can, but I'm also going to empower you, right? Our motto is kind of like I should never be working harder than you for your job. And so some people will fail out. Some people, things come up in their life, and that's okay. We have given them a tool, or we put a little bug in their ear and they'll come back when the time is right. So I don't take things personally when they're getting worked up. I know how to hold my energy and hold their energy. I don't get drawn into that sort story and that cycle when they are expressing all of their emotions. I get they're frustrated. I get they're angry. I get that they're scared, right? A lot of it is they're scared. They come in when their unemployment is about to run out. They come in if they haven't done a review and they've lost some benefits. They've come in at different times where they're panicking, and it's our job to stay balanced. And I try to move them into a private location always and have a one-on-one conversation with them. We have Kleenex on the table, and I just kind of sit back and let them share. A lot of it is just they want to be heard. They want to be heard, and I don't have to come up with an action plan. They already know what they're there for. So it's taking myself out of it. Like, I'm not going to project what I want for you out of this. You're going to lead this. And that's a lot of it.
We talk about that in the state about meeting people where they are and co-creation. And, in our office, we're talking a lot about working with people so that we're doing things together instead of doing things to people. And that requires some, respect and some believe that people are the experts in their lives, that they actually know what's best for them, and we don't. How do you, and I think some of that is societal, where, if you're coming into services, it must be because you made some bad choices. And now we can't trust your decision making. So we've got to help you because you don't know what to do for yourself. How do you counter that? Or how are you, kind of using what you're there to do, your service, but in a way that is empowering people and that doesn't look at them as you need my help, like a paternalistic type approach.
I think that's when it just engage, right? That word just came to mind. I try to engage with them. They are a person, right? Engage with them. I don't have to shove a whole bunch of resources down their throat if they don't want them. It's the ask, what is your next goal? What are you hoping to take away from this meeting today? A lot of that is where it's that empowerment in the listening and hearing what they're saying, and then offering at that time. If I love it. If you find something here for you, go ahead and take it today. I went in, I was teaching workshops all week till today. So I went in and said, Amazon's hiring. We have Simplot in the building. We bring employers in here who are hiring on the spot. And we'll tell them, use the resume lab. You can use it for free. And then I'll just lay it out so that they can come up and grab what they need. I do see Melissa is putting up some of the papers that I'm talking about. I'm going to pause really quick though, and I'm going to return to this. There was a couple of questions I happened to catch. I think it was a Jessica asked in regards to entrepreneurship and small business. We do. So when we have individuals go through these 3 half-day workshops, the last hour is actually financial literacy, where we bring in 2 specialized individuals that are talking about how to manage money, how to do budgets, how to cut coupons, different ways to save money. Because a lot of people are saying, you're telling me how to budget, but I don't have any money to budget. So come on now. So then we're getting really into the nitty-gritty resources, right? Let's utilize your resources. What resources are in your community that you're unaware of? We can be out there doing job fairs, we can be out there in the community networking, and still you're gonna have hundreds of people that don't know about your services. And so a lot of it is connecting them with the right services and writing it down for them, right? It's a lot when you come in and it's a lot of information. Just give them a 1, 2, 3. You could do this, you could do this, you could do this, and then it's their choice. Um, Looping back around, so yes, we do have the small business classes and entrepreneurship. They're a little bit separate with us, but we work with the small business, SBDC, and I'm gonna forget the acronym, but we have a couple of gentlemen that we refer out to. Our goal is really self-sufficiency. So the self-employment is kind of tricky. As you know, self-employment can kind of have highs and lows. But yes, we do refer out to that. And then there was one more question up above, and I don't recall what it was.
You can go look for it.
Okay, go ahead and let me know, Melissa. But I did want to wrap around, Megan, to what you said. So Melissa was kind enough to put stereotypes, self-care tips, and thought-provoking questions. And I'm going to start with the stereotypes. So they're lazy or they don't want to work. People assume homeless or low-income individuals are in the situation because they refuse to work or have a lack of strong work ethic. In reality, many low-income individuals work multiple jobs but still struggle to make ends meet due to the low wages, the rising cost of living, and systematic barriers. Unemployment among homeless individuals is often tied to issues like mental health, lack of transportation, or childcare challenges, not laziness. And we all come in with these stereotypes, so it's really good just to check in where you're at in these. Number 2 is that they made poor choices and that they're to blame for their situation. The stereotype is often believed that homelessness or poverty results solely from personal failure, like addiction or irresponsible spending. The reality is structural factors such as affordable housing shortages, systemic, inequality, and lack of access to education or healthcare often play significant roles in this. People might also fall into poverty due to unforeseen circumstances like medical bills, job loss, or family crises. I look at this and I can tell you a lot of wealthy people that I know who are completely irresponsible spending and addiction. But it's just because they're in their homes and they're behind closed doors that you don't see it as much as the individuals who are out, in public doing it. Which leads me to the third one. They're addicted to drugs or alcohol. The stereotype is many people believe that addiction is a defining characteristic of homelessness or poverty. The reality is, while some homeless individuals may struggle with addiction, many do not. Addiction is a health issue that can affect anyone, regardless of the socioeconomic status, and not all low-income individuals are homeless. People do suffer from some substance abuse, but I just was at our city hall really advocating to not close our homeless shelter down here. And we had a group of people who were not using drugs and who were using our services, and that was their affordable housing. They could shower down there, they had a safe place to sleep at night, it was within walking distance to services. And unfortunately, the city and the agency that got the grant decided to close it. The other stereotype is that maybe they're dangerous or they're criminals. This stereotype is homeless and low-income individuals are often unfairly viewed as threats to public safety. The reality is this stereotype perpetuates fear and discrimination, but research shows that homeless individuals are more likely to be victims of crime than to actually be the perpetrator. And most are simply trying to survive and improve their circumstances. That was another thing that I was really advocating as they are now trying to close our public library here in our community. And so I was over on town hall, and I just encourage everyone to boots on the ground and action is where our power lies now. We can put our opinions all over social media, get involved in something you're passionate about. Now is the time. And so I was down there talking about the value of our library. We send individuals for free computer services, whether that's elderly, homeless, low income. I've done it. I've been middle class and haven't had a computer, and I've utilized WorkSource and I've utilized the public libraries. And we even had a homeschool mom who come in and said, I use this to get great resources to homeschool my kids. yes, there are individuals who are homeless all around, but they don't bother us. And when we go into the library, there's a security guard there and we're totally fine. And this is an opportunity to teach my children about differences. And I loved that she said that. And then the last one was that they want handouts and don't appreciate help. And this one bugs me. I always hear well, we want to make sure it's a hand up, not a handout. It's not our place to judge, my personal opinion. If you're giving freely. What they do with that is up to them. But the stereotype is there's a perception that homeless or low income individuals rely on charity or government assistance because they want easy solutions. Could there be some? Sure. I'm not going to talk about the majority. I won't ever clump that as a majority. But the reality is most people in poverty or homelessness, excuse me, most people in poverty or homelessness seek opportunities to become self-sufficient. Assistance programs are often vital lifelines to help them overcome some of the systematic barriers and to achieve that stability. And I think that's a really big one too, that for me, I'm middle-aged and losing my thought in the middle. There was something I was going to say about that hand up versus handout, but basically it's my motto, my personal motto is do what you can when you can as often as you can for others. That's how I view it. And that comes from my personal heart and how I serve others. Is if there's a need and I can help meet that need, then I'm giving freely. And that could be cash, could be food, could be time, could be prayer, could be a resource. It could be any of those things. But I feel like if you are that heart and you are called to serve, then yeah, we need to get out our own stereotypes and our own biases and acknowledge them, right? Acknowledge that they're there and then work with others. I've been so into all the different things going on in our community right now. We have Umani for the Hispanic, and I don't know if it's a national festival or not. I'm still learning that I'm going to be a part of this year. We just had a June 19th celebration. Our community is doing gay pride. So like get involved. Even if you're uncomfortable, get involved. That's how you learn from people who are different than you. I can
That's
go on and on.
fantastic.
I can go
No,
on and
I
on.
can listen to you all day. That's great. And folks in the chat, people who are listening to you are like, this is great. Thank you for making the points. And I, these stereotypes are ones that, we hear often as well. And, you know, um, I have family who work in 2 and 3 jobs. I said, I grew up in a family that was low income. We were on services, and we worked hard. My mom was
Yeah,
working. There was 4 of us. She's working and going to school to try to better herself at the same time. I don't know how they do it,
I know.
because I'm tired just with my one job that I got to do
Yeah,
and my 2 kids, and I'm
yeah.
exhausted, and so, um,
Praise single
and
mothers. I do not know. Praise single mothers and fathers.
yes, I think that, and I also love what you said earlier. You talked about trends. We're seeing seniors coming in. We're seeing Ukrainians coming in. And what I liked about that I just want to emphasize for folks listening is that's tied to policies, right?
Mhm.
That's tied to our practices and things like that. We know and in government, we've talked about the aging population for a while, right? And so I say that because when you may see, oh, I'm seeing a lot of this type of folks or this category of folks or this population of folks, right? Think about the government, past, present government policies and practices that maybe are resulting in different trends that you may be experiencing. And what I always like to say is raise your hand if you don't make bad decisions. I can't even. I'm a double fold my arms. Okay, let me tell you, I make bad decisions every day, right? And if we say people are poor because of their decisions, then we all should be poor.
Mhm.
We all should be. Ain't nobody perfect up in here. And
Yeah,
so, if that's the case, but all people who make bad decisions aren't poor, it's something else got to be going on there, right? It's something
yeah.
else got to be going on there. And from a lot of folks that I hear from when they're navigating our processes, they're dehumanizing, right? They are judgmental. Our processes
So
are
much.
judgmental. Who wants to go through that?
Yeah.
Who
No
wants to
one.
go through that?
No one there, and like this is the thing. I had I think 20 people, which is big for July, but smaller for our fall groups come through. And I made them pat yourself on the back. You showed up for yourself today. I know the courage it took for you to get here today. I know that you guys are dealing with depression and social anxiety and a whole list of other stuff that's going on in your life right now. You showed up consistently for 3 days in a row. Pat yourselves on the back. You took the first step. I always put quotes up on the board that no just means next opportunity, right? Like, fail is first attempt in learning. I'm really big on those little mantras and those little words that are motivating and sharing other people's stories, right? I can get up there and preach at you all day long, but y'all don't know that same thing, like Megan said, I came from a very poor background. I was in the system. We were on food stamps, shopped at Goodwill. We took other people in, divided family. It goes on and on and on. And a couple things that are important to me, I guess, is when I look at other individuals, and I heard this, and I think it was Dr. Gamor Mate, who said, when you see individuals on the street, if they are doing drugs or if they are homeless or if they are talking to themselves or doing behaviors that don't look normal to our culture, know that if you had their life experiences, you would be reacting the same way this person is. I just had a great conversation with a close friend last night where in other cultures, people that talk out loud and are rated schizophrenic and whatnot here, in other cultures, they're shaman and they're medicine men, and they are people who speak to higher realms, I guess, for what you say. You know what I mean? Like, we have to understand the culture that we live in. We have to understand other cultures too. And we also have to reflect back, like what Megan was saying about policies. It's so interesting to me that, and this is years ago, I do not know what the current stats are. And like I said, I've been doing this for a long time. But at the time a while ago when stuff was coming up, 80% of Caucasians were on assistance. That is not the narrative that is out there right now that is going around. But when you pull the real stats, it was 80% of individuals were Caucasian. And I can't tell you how many people I have seen of all backgrounds abuse the system, right? But I can be having a conversation with one of them who has voted against the policy and is still collecting the policy. It's mind blowing to me. So it's important to have these conversations. It's important to get out other information than just social media or our news channels. But I always say, Megan, if you were a farmer, I'm not going to go teach you and tell you how to farm. I'm going to listen to your experience. So when I have a conversation, if they can't tell me the difference between Medicare and Medicaid, I know where they're at capacity wise and I back away politely. Are we there to help educate each other? Yes, but it's got to be respectful and meaningful conversation, not just listening to get the other person's point across. And I think we take that back into with our customers too, right? It's not our agenda for them. It's what is their agenda? What are they willing to do? And you may have said this, Megan, when you came and visited, but you can't expect someone to go from A to Z. They're going to go from A to B, and then they're going to go from B to C. But we have these unrealistic expectations that they're going to come in, they're going to walk out with a new job, they're going to have all the food on the table they need, they're going to have all the clothes for their job. And that's one of the pieces that I forgot to mention that is a huge benefit to employers. When we go in and do these on-the-job trainings, we are providing support in the back end that employers don't care about. Not that it's ill will that they don't care about it, but they want their employee there on time, dressed appropriately, and not late. We are working to help people repair their cars in the background, $1,000 car repairs, gas support for them. We are buying steel-toed boots. We are buying socks and basic jeans and t-shirts to get people to work. We are buying the cool, what do I want to say? When they work in one of the freezer bays, they have to have that, like, it's so cold that it's the cold weather equipment, like the face masks and the gloves and all of that. Like, we do such an added value to these employers as well, because that's what's going to make the employees be successful in their jobs. We're treating them as a human being who, yeah, they're in a tough spot, and how can we make them holistically be successful in their role?
I love that. I love that. And, I think some of the message, that for the benefits or why we should do this, the business case, right? If we invest in people and people are successful, our community is thriving, right? We're all connected to each other.
Yep.
I know we like to praise individualism and things like that, but I mean, I would love to see the person who's got to where they are if they're successful on their own and had no
Yeah.
help, no one ever. I would love to hear that story because a lot of people, when they talk about, I'm a self-made whatever, it's not self-made. You've had some assistance or you've benefited from your parents or grandparents' work, right? I have had a lot of help to get where I am because I just didn't know, right? If you grow up with not a lot of resources, you're on benefits. You don't actually, I don't know nobody in my family or close who's a director of something. I don't know what does it take to be a director. I don't know, right? And so those promotion opportunities that I benefited from somebody helping me navigate and telling me things I didn't know was really helpful. And so I think, we need to understand more that we are tied to each other and what's happening to other people is going to impact us. And the more we invest in each other, we are investing in ourselves. It's cheaper to invest in someone getting a job and maintaining a job than having people sleeping on the streets and having to go into the ER to get medical services and driving up and having the costs go up for us all. Or investing in education and things rather than building more prisons, right? I mean, there are people are fed, healthy, housed is a better return on investments for all of us. Even if they don't, we, in our opinion, deserve it. It's still it's a better use of our resources to invest in someone rather than deal with any of the negative consequences when our population and our community is suffering. And so, even if it's like not a compassionate thing, it is in our best interest to help people get where they need to be, and seeing them as ourselves. Because if we're losing, are we just talking about people being state employers are being laid off, right? So, some of us may be going, some of our colleagues may be going through some of these right now. Any one of us could be in this situation, potentially where we need services. So, I think even if we approach it that way, how would I want somebody to treat me if and when I'm in that situation? We would build better systems. Marisa, one more question for you. This work is taxing emotionally,
Yes.
and a lot of the folks who are on this call with us right now and said employees, it's really hard to listen to the stories that people are, or their stories and what they're navigating. How do you make space for yourself so that you can continue in this, or do you?
Absolutely, I do. It's taken me years. And again, I'll give you my little fun like segues that I say. Saying no to others is saying yes to yourself, right? So it's about really good, healthy boundary settings, professionally and personally. So I do have a worksheet in there that talks about how do I balance empathy with professional boundaries. I'm going to leave that for you guys to read at another point. But the one I want to talk about is the top five self-care strategies. And these are the ones that I implement on a regular basis. So again, I already said it, establish healthy boundaries, right? Learn to say no when your plate's full or when something is outside of your capacity. It is not weak to ask for help. It is a superpower to ask for help. I used to have a manager when I waited tables, and he said, I always come to you because you can go, I need this to table five, I need drinks over here, they need napkins, and ketchup goes to table two, right? But if somebody walks up and someone's all flustered, he would just walk away from them. So you have to learn how to communicate your needs and ask for help and know that that's a strength and not a weakness. I've had to say it before. I'm at capacity. Can someone else take this on right now? We do a check-in at our meetings. Delegate tasks where possible and avoid overcommitting. I'm guilty of that. I will get into overachiever mode and I will start filling up my calendar, filling up my calendar, filling up my personal calendar. And then I'm like, whoa, let's not fill out that calendar. Let's move some stuff. One of my favorites is using the cross diagram. And so you have 4 different boxes, and it's like, is this emergent and this has to be taken care of now? Can this be taken care of in the next couple days? Can this be taken care of in the next week? And can this be taken care of in the next month? What we tend to do is put everything in that emergent. Everything needs our attention. We have to get everything done. And I'm guilty of, and then you stress yourself out. Break it down, have the 4 quadrants, really set your day up for success. Practice regular self-care activities, whether that's balanced nutrition, sufficient sleep at night, regular exercise. Do things that bring you joy where you get lost in track of time, right? If it was art for you, if it's listening to music, if it's being in nature, if it's being with your kids, if it's traveling and taking an adventure, do things that bring you joy more. And I almost want to say, do that more than your job, because then you will be more efficient in your job, right? Like your 40 hours at work, make sure you're getting 60 hours of joy time in the evenings and on the weekends. I used to be a person that and I still do, I need to shut down to recharge. I'm an extrovert, but the more, and too, as I become older, I'm really an introvert, and I really cut out the chaos and the drama, and I really go internal to be with myself and reflect and to recharge. Develop emotional resiliency. Process your emotions through journaling, mindfulness, or meditation, or seek support from a therapist or counselor. We all do this work. We all need the support just as much as we're giving to our customers. There's nothing wrong with that. It makes you better in your job, better in your home life, better professionally, personally. The other thing here too is I love it. Because I do my coaching on the side too, I weave a lot of this in. Get a rage journal. We all got anger, we all got frustration, we all got irritability in the workplace. It's like a damn family you're working with all the time. Get a rage journal. It's the best thing that a young girl at a bookstore gave me. And you can talk about who the beep head of the day was, and you can write it all out, and then it leaves you with a positive at the end. A rage journal is awesome. All of your emotions are there to teach you something, so pay attention to them. Otherwise, you will go down the drain and get burned out and not be as vital in your job. Build your support network. Have friends, family, colleagues who uplift you. If they're not uplifting you, walk away from toxic relationships. Share your experiences and challenges with others in similar roles so you have that mutual support, that empathy, right? We tend to vent here, but we all know that it's just a venting session and then we move on. It's just clearing the air. There's something that's bothering us today, and then we can move on with it. Schedule downtime for yourself and reflect. Another one of my favorites that used to be on my coaching website was, do you recharge yourself as much as you recharge your cell phone? Do you recharge yourself as much as you recharge your cell phone? Put away things that are distracting. Take regular breaks during your day. Reflect on your purpose and positive impact of your work. My favorite is getting into gratitude. I get into gratitude. I have different practices for morning and night. At the end of the night, I may have done my rage journal at 5. By the time I'm going to bed, I am in gratitude and thankful for every day. You don't have a bad day. You have a bad moment in a day. I'll leave you with that.
First of all, rage journal. I didn't even know that. I had to Google it right then. I was like, wait, let me see. It's a real thing. And
it's a real thing. And mine was funny. I should send you a picture, Megan. Mine was funny. I don't know. I'll email it to you, but it's red on the front and it has like little characters and little like cartoons in it. And it's like, okay, let's talk more about the crap you went through today. Okay, what's your meter? Where are you angry at? And then at the end, it's like, what are great things that happened today? What is your word for today? You end on a positive note, but you have to physically get that out of your body. And I'm a huge, huge believer. What we see out there today, 90% of those individuals, is trauma. It is trauma at the base of the base of the base of where they're at, what's happening, they haven't done their trauma work. And a lot of times it's not available to them. They don't know how to seek the resources. And as a trauma survivor and trauma worker and light worker, it's hard. It's not the easy path. You are discovering layers that you didn't like about yourself, and you are used to masking with different things, whether that's eating, oversleeping, Netflix, booze, alcohol, drugs. It comes down to really, really doing your trauma work. And that's yourself as a leader and a professional. And if you can connect, right? We connect people with Renew Health Services if they need them here. You know, mental health is my jam. Like, it's my lifestyle. It is healing is my lifestyle. Like, it should be talked about as anything else from a young age. Let's talk about mental health.
I love that. And one, I like the facilitated journal because a blank page, I'm like, what do I write on this blank
Yeah.
page? But when you got prompts and things, that makes it
Yeah.
easier. But then also that, if you're right, if it doesn't get out, it's going to stay in and it impacts your physical health,
Yes.
right? So, Marisa, if you could just put in the chat ways that if people have more questions, 'cause I'm loving all the different, sayings that you have and thoughts. And thank you for these resources. Folks,
Yeah.
please feel free to share what Marisa provided and Melissa put in the chat for us. If people want to get in contact, would you be open to that? And if so, can you put how you prefer people to contact you?
Sure. I'm gonna put my SkillSource. SkillSource.org. That's the easiest way is through email probably for me. Give me some grace because I also have other work emails coming in and a lot going on. But if I missed anyone's questions, I apologize. I know the chat was going quick. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. I do have extra time if anyone wants to stay on and ask questions. Megan, I don't know if you have that time or if you want to jump off and people can just popcorn questions out.
Let me see what Megan's got next on my calendar.
Megan's got to order a rage journal.
Yeah, that's what I'll be doing for real. They need something audio because if anybody's seen my writing, it's horrible. I have the worst
That's okay.
writing. They were clowning me the other day. I said, I need a rage audio journal. That's what I need. Give me something I can speak into.
Yeah. You can do
yeah.
that in your car, or you can put that person in a chair. There's also a chair therapy where you put that person in a chair you're mad at. You get it. You have to get it physically out of your body. Disease is dis-ease in your body. It will turn into disease. Get that out. Put a person in a chair and say everything to them. Say it. Talk out loud to yourself in the car. Get it physically out of your body because it's toxic.
I agree. Well, for those who have to leave, can we just send some love to Marisa for spending this time and giving her wisdom and knowledge and expertise and sharing about her approach with us today. She took time out of her day to come and share with us, and I have just learned a lot. So I just appreciate you, Marisa, so please do that. Give her some love for that. And then if there's folks who can stay and want to ask questions, Melissa, if you could take us off spotlight so then we can have more of see folks who want to stay and ask some questions.
I love this, Anderson. Thank you, Eminem, Melissa, and Marisa.
We're Eminem. Yeah.
Right? My friend Melissa here that I work with is Hispanic, and she was laughing because we're really close. And she's like, "We're like the swirl." She's like, "I'm chocolate, you're vanilla." It's like, "Yes, we are, girl. Yes, we are."
Megan, I'm gonna have to hop off because I have an appointment, but I went ahead and made you host. So if I leave, it won't kick people out.
Thanks,
okay,
Melissa,
so we'll do about 10 minutes if anyone has, because I will have to leave. But thank you, Melissa, so much. Appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Does anyone have any questions that Marisa wasn't able to answer, or one that you just thought of? You can also email her and connect if you don't want to be in front of everybody else.
Megan, before I hop off, I put in the chat that I'll be sending up a follow-up email with the resources that I put in the chat, along with the survey and the registration links for the Connect Space webinar.
Okay, thank you.
All right, have a great day,
I'm
everybody.
trying to get that over here too. So they can look me up under